Hello everyone, and welcome to round 9 of the Grand Chess Tour's Your Next Move Rapid Tournament in Leuven. This is the final round of the Rapids, and tomorrow and the day after tomorrow we're gonna have a Blitz day, 9 rounds of Blitz tomorrow and 9 rounds of Blitz the day after tomorrow. So gonna be wild 2 days, which I'm gonna try and cover most of the tournament, at least show those games that were interesting. But there is a festival, a 3-day festival going on in my hometown here. So I'm gonna have to visit the festival a little bit. There is a nice craft beer day and everything. So we'll see how much I will manage, but I'll try to manage at least the important ones. So getting back to this game, it's a very nice game, and Fabi definitely didn't have the greatest tournament so far. And it seems like this entire tournament I'm only showing Fabi's games, but the games that he played, either winning or losing, were very interesting. So it's not my fault. Here he faces Sergei Karjakin in the last round, who definitely in the last round of the Rapids, who had an excellent tournament so far, and he has the white pieces. So not an easy task. Before we check out the game, we do have a very nice photo challenge. Not gonna be an easy one this time. So once again, best of luck to you, and let's have it. So here it is. Who is this very nice gentleman? I believe most of you should know him. Those of you that don't, I will give you a little hint. In 1976, he defeated in Manila none other than Anatoly Karpov. Those of you that have been following my channel for quite some time now might even remember seeing that game on my channel. If you haven't seen that game, you're welcome to check it out. But before you can check it out, first you have to figure out who this person is. So best of luck to you, and if you haven't, do check out that game. It's quite a masterpiece. So let's check it out. Karjakin has the white pieces, and he opens with e4. We have e5, knight to f3, and now Fabi does go for his Petrov, knight to f6. Knight captures, we have the classical variation, d6, knight to f3, knight captures, now c4, the Kaufman attack against the Petrov defense. Knight to c6, we have d4, d5, and c5 now. A variation that you will not very often see in classical time format, so once again, it's very nice to take a break from the classical time format from time to time, hence the Karpov quote above the board. Bishop to e7, we have bishop to b5, castles, and now Karjakin castles as well. Fabi goes bishop to g4 with the simple threat of simply capturing the knight on f3 and then grabbing the pawn on d4, or simply grabbing the pawn, not immediately, but the knight is pinned, so you do have to take care of this. So bishop captures on c6, b captures on c6, and now h3. Either forcing the bishop to capture the knight, which you never kind of want to do. You don't want to give up the bishop pair. So bishop to h5, and now you're still not out of the woods. This knight is still pinned. You can't really move the queen. You have to play something like knight bd2, but then you're gonna play a passive game. Karjakin decides to play an active game, and he goes for g4 immediately, unpinning. Bishop to g6, and now knight to e5, forcing to grab, threatening to capture the bishop, but also threatening the c6 pawn. And the only way to actually defend the c6 pawn would be queen to e8, but that's not the kind of move you want to make. Your position would simply be silly with black here. So after knight to e5, bishop to f6. Either gonna capture the knight, or the knight now has an option. Either he will capture on g6, which definitely a lot of people would do, but Karjakin sees the opportunity to grab a pawn, and he grabs a pawn. So knight captures on c6. Queen d7 attacking the knight. We have knight back to b4, and now rook 8 to b8. So that's 1, 2, 3. So a bishop, a queen, and a rook developed for the price of this one pawn. Not sure if that doubled pawn was worth it. Knight back to c2, and now bishop to h4, already pressuring h2. And if you look at black's pieces, and now if you look at white's pieces, it's hard to say if that pawn was worth it. We have f3 attacking the knight, knight g3 attacking the rook, rook to f2, and now f5. Fabi is going for the kill. Knight to c3, and now knight to e4, opening up a discovered attack from the bishop to the rook. So what do you do here? Moving the rook is definitely the way to go.
Rook to f1 is an option. Here Karjakin goes for rook to h2. Knight captures on c3, b captures on c3, and now rook b back to e8, going for rapid development. Now all of Fabi's pieces are in excellent squares. After f5 is pushed, this bishop will come alive, and it will be a very nice position for black. Bishop to d2, now bishop to g3, rook to g2, and f4, solidifying that bishop on g3, and really restricting the movement of white's pieces. Rook to c1. This knight is under attack by the bishop. This knight doesn't really have a good square to go to. You can't really move the queen as you're going to lose the knight. So rook c1 defending the knight, now preparing to move the queen. But now comes a very nice move, bishop to d3, not allowing this queen to move anywhere. Queen to f1 was an option, but not anymore. We have knight e1 attacking the bishop, bishop c4, and now queen to c2. And now another very nice restricting move, bishop to e2. And now there's really nothing for white to do here other than wait. The threat, of course, is bishop captures knight. Knight is the only piece that's defending the f3 pawn, and then bishop captures on f3. So there's really nothing you can do to stop this. Here Karjakin plays c4. We have pawn captures on c4, and now bishop to c3. At least trying to activate a little by giving back some material. But now bishop captures on e1, rook captures, and bishop captures on f3. Rook captures, queen captures, and now rook to f2, attacking the bishop, bishop to d5, and queen to e2, offering a trade of queens. Here Fabi declines the trade. He plays queen to g6 as he controls a lot more space. When you control more space, you don't want to trade queens or pieces for that matter. This bishop is an excellent piece, slicing all the way to h1. In the future, ideas like queen b1 check could be possible, followed by queen to h1 if this rook ever moves, for example. So a lot of things to consider here. Queen to e5. A very active square for the queen, although the queen cannot really stay there. We have c6 defending the bishop on d5, and now the queen, it is a nice square for the queen, but queen to d3 is coming. So you do want to stop this by playing queen to e2, but even with a move like queen to e2, there's very little white can do here. Here Karjakin tried king to h2, but now comes the punisher. Fabi immediately plays queen to d3, and now there are simply too many threats. Queen to g3 with check, picking up the rook is a threat, queen captures the bishop is the immediate threat, so you can't stop both. So rook captures on f4 by Karjakin, giving up a piece. Queen to c2 check first, now king g3, and now queen captures on c3 with check. King to h4, and now rook captures on f4. Queen captures on f4 and h6. H6, this is move 38, and after playing h6, Sergei Karjakin decided to resign the game. He's down a piece, there's really nothing to do here. Any slow move will be met with g5, winning the queen and the game. Whatever you do, if you push g5 yourself, then simply captures, and there's really nothing to do here for white. A wonderful game by Fabiano Caruana, who, so far in this entire tournament, he's been like a punching bag. Really had a couple of terrible games. He himself said in an interview that some of the games were even embarrassing, but you can't really help it. So this is why I use this title, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So as they said in the live coverage, you never know who you're gonna get. In classical time format, you know who you're gonna get, but in rapid, he really had a bad tournament, and then he crushes Karjakin using a Petrov defense. And Karjakin was having an excellent tournament so far. So let's check out the standings after the last round. After the last round of the Rapids, here are the standings. Wesley So still in first place without a single loss, with 5 wins and 4 draws. Then followed, there's a tie between Leuven Arnyan and Maxim Vachier-Lagrave. Then follows Sergei Karjakin, Hikaru Nakamura. Then Mamedyarov, Grishuk, Caruana, Anand, and Anish Giri. It's also one of the things Hikaru Nakamura said in an interview. He said that although Wesley is having an excellent tournament so far, that Nakamura doesn't think that Wesley will do so good in the Blitz section, and that, he himself and some of the other players will, you know, catch up to him and overtake him in the blitz section. And then they asked Fabi the same question, and then Fabi said that he doesn't agree with Nakamura, that Wesley is an excellent blitz player, which he proved by winning the Norway blitz tournament Altibox a couple of weeks ago, and you know, he's an excellent blitz player, and Fabi said that he's not sure, but he thinks that he is higher rated in blitz than Nakamura. So yeah, also an interesting question. What do you think? How will Wesley do in the blitz section? And it's interesting that last year he also was in the lead, 2 points in the lead ahead of Magnus Carlsen after the rapid section. But then after 2 days of blitz, it was actually Magnus Carlsen in the first place. But there was no Carlsen in the race this time, so we'll see how it goes. And you know, I hope I will be able to cover some of the games, you know, due to the festival going on in my hometown. So yeah, I would like to thank Oliver Florin for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, probably with a couple of blitz games. And I think if there will be time, I will continue the Anand Carlsen series. If not, then we'll finish the Leuven tournament and then proceed with the Carlsen Anand series, because we don't really need a lot of time to finish that series. So yeah, thank you all, and I'll see you soon.